Good evening. Once again, we return to the story of Caius. Spellsword, Dunmer, Eternal Champion, finest courier in Tamriel, Hortator of great houses, Nerevarine, former head of the Blades in Vardenfell, most loyal servant of the Emperor. And I remember a little bit of what I was supposed to do here. I know we were just starting a quest.
Arnora told me about a particular crime that she was forced to help her lover Jorndur commit. They stole some gold and buried it, but Jorndur was arrested. When she returned to the hiding place, the gold was gone. Jorndur must have moved it. Now she wants to recover the money. I should go to Bruma Castle dungeons and speak to him.
Yeah, there was another thing I wanted to try. I know there are some potions of dispel, so I was wondering if I had something that could disable the invisibility without having to play the prank. I'll leave that for another time. Anyway, at some point I will make my way back to the Imperial City, but for now, I have duties in Bruma. Let me just see if maybe the dungeons are somewhere somewhere below. Well, doesn't seem like it. Also, I feel bad doing this, but I'm paranoid that I put the settings. Nope, they're fine. So this might cause crashes later. It's not quite as bad as Morrowind, though, so...
What do you want?
I'd like to visit a prisoner.
What a bother. Don't be too long about it. I got to stay with you, so there isn't any funny business. Don't get too close to the prisoners. Prisoners may not accept gifts.
I don't know who you are, nor do I care. All I know is that I want you to leave.
What if I told you some compelling jokes?
You've got a point. That's a bit excessive, don't you think? That's great! You're a big fat liar. Oh, where'd you... That's enough. Blah. Don't be silly. You're good.
Alright, tell me about the stolen gold.
I'm not talking to you about anything. You're an outsider. I bet you're trying to trick me into telling something and the guards put you up to it. That fetcher of a guard, Terrelius, is always trying to be sneaky. Well, you can forget it. Tell him it isn't going to work.
Jornder refused to speak to me. He said that he doesn't talk to outsiders. I think he's referring to the fact that I'm not a prisoner. Sounds like the only way to get him to talk is by getting arrested.
Oh god.
May not accept gifts. What do you want? Did you hear about Braden Lyrian? A vampire hunter named Reynolds made his way into town, snuck into his house, and killed him. Yes, the vampire hunter. As far as I know, he just showed up recently here in Bruma. Not only that, but he already found a vampire among us. Apparently, Braden Lyrian was one of those vile creatures, and Reynolds slew him. Kind of strange, though. I never figured Braden to be a vampire. He seemed to be such a likable fellow. Good day.
I've discovered that Brandon Lyrian, a resident here in Bruma, was actually a vampire. He was slain by a vampire hunter who has appeared in town named Reynolds. However, the circumstances of the incident sound sketchy at best. I should make my way to the crime scene at Braden's house to investigate.
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to pursue this. I don't know what happens if you get imprisoned.
No touching the locks. Prisoners may not accept gifts. Yes?
I'm done, thanks.
Goodbye. No touching the locks. Don't get too close to the prisoners.
Wait a minute, did he seriously?
Lieutenant Garrett Senerel of the Bruma Guard.
Hear any rumors?
I've heard that Jantis Brolus is skilled with both magic and steel.
What can you tell me about Bruma?
As Captain Bird says, we have to stay on the good side of the local Nords. It ain't their fault they're ignorant barbarians.
Alright. So I'm probably just gonna have to break the law, but, let's deal with, this vampire hunter quest first.
You're going to have to leave. This is a crime scene, and no one other than ourselves, our Reynolds, will be allowed access.
Tell me more about Reynolds.
A culprit in this crime has already been dealt with. It's just a matter of wrapping up the details. I'd tell you more, but frankly, I don't know who you are, so I'm not sure that I can trust you with that sort of information. Go ahead. It's good of you to... Where'd you get that? You're a big, fat lie. That's just talk. That's great! How's it go again? You're wasting your... You're a big, fat... You're too kind.
That was, not a good one.
That's That's great! How's it going? You're too blah. That's just talk.
Alright, let's try that again. Joke and... I thought it was joke and admire.
How nice. You're That's great! How's it? You can't scare me. It's good of you to say so. That's just... I like that. A lot. You're good.
Anything else you can tell me?
I suppose there's no harm in telling you what happened. Word is bound to get around Bruma anyway. Turns out that Braden Lyrian is a vampire. Or was. If it wasn't for Reynolds Room, we may never have uncovered the truth. Let me explain. In the last week or so, we've found 2 bodies stashed in shallow graves outside the city walls. The bodies had puncture wounds on their necks. The bodies were those of some beggars who used to wander the streets looking for handouts. Vampire probably thought no one would miss them. Luckily for us, Reynolds arrived in town. He said he was a vampire hunter, so we asked for his help. He tracked the vampire to this house. When he entered the place around noon, Braden was sleeping. He was able to slay him at that point. Luckily, Braden's wife wasn't home. Poor thing. She didn't even know her husband was infected. We did a follow-up investigation, and it's true that no one recollects seeing Braden out in the daylight. He's only been spotted at night. I'm afraid there's not much more to tell you, so you can see we really don't need any help, but thanks for the offer.
Alright, tell me more about Braden Lyrian.
As far as I know, he was a good man. I never saw this coming. But vampires are masters of deception, so I guess it makes sense.
Anything else about Reynolds?
I'm impressed. It only took him a day to track the vampire down. I guess that's why he does it for a living. Feel free to question anyone in town. They shouldn't give you too much trouble.
Perhaps you can help me. I can't believe this is happening. Please, please, I need your help. My husband was no vampire. It's ridiculous. No one will listen to me.
Please, calm down. I want help.
Forgive me. I loved my husband dearly, and to lose him this way makes no sense. Anything you can do to help would be wonderful. This is all happening so fast.
Tell me what happened.
I came home only just a few hours ago. I found the door open, and my Braden dead. Standing over him was a Dunmer. I screamed and ran out into the street. Some city watch were nearby and heard me, I suppose, as they arrived quickly. I heard the Dunmer identify himself as Reynolds Room. He said he was a vampire hunter, and that Braden was his mark. The guards seemed to know about Reynolds, and after a search of the house, the body of some beggar was found stashed in our basement. The guards sent for Carriers, who is an investigator for crimes here in Bruma. In minutes, Reynolds convinced Carriers that Braden was a vampire.
Evidence looks bad for Braden.
Well, of course it does. It was obviously planted here. Why would he stash a body in his own house? That's ridiculous. And another thing. The guards are making a big deal out of no one seeing Braden out in the daylight. Well, of course that's the case. He works at night and has to sleep during the day. Why does that make him a vampire? It's all that Reynolds character. I don't trust him. The thing that bothers me the most is that I swear I've seen him before. Of course, he says he's never been here. Look, there isn't much more to say. Please, help me clear my husband's name.
What else can you tell me about Reynolds Room?
I have no idea where he'd be. Just find him and make him tell you the truth. I swear he's a liar. I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
Repeated tampering with Braden's corpse is a crime and will alert the authorities.
Nice hat.
Hello.
Excuse me.
Let me tell you the tale of the Thief of Virtue. In the land of Hammerfell, in the city of Such, there lived a baron who was quite wealthy. He was a noted collector of rare coins. The Baroness Veronique found the whole thing quite tedious. However, she did appreciate the lifestyle that the baron's wealth provided. Ravius Turnius was a noted thief. He claimed to be a master thief in the mythical guild of thieves. However, that was most likely just braggadocio. The only known thieves guild was wiped out over 450 years ago. Ravius decided that the Baron should share his wealth. Specifically, he should share it with Ravius. The wily thief crept into the Baron's castle one night intending to do just that. The walls of the castle were noted for their height and unscalability. Ravius cleverly used an arrow of penetration to affix a rope to the top of the battlements. Once on the battlements, he had to evade the Baron's guards. By hiding in the shadows of the crenellations, he was able to work his way to the keep undetected. Entering the keep was child's play for a thief of his caliber. However, a cunning lock with no less than 13 pins protected the private quarters of the Baron. Ravius broke only 9 lockpicks to open it. Using a fork, a bit of string, and a wineskin, he disabled the 7 traps guarding the Baron's coin collection. Truly, Ravius was a master among thieves. With the coin safely in his grasp, Ravius began to escape, only to find the way blocked. The Baron had found the open door and was raising the guard to scour the castle. Ravius fled deeper into the castle, one step ahead of the questing guards. His only way out led through the boudoir of the Baroness Veronique. He entered to find the lady preparing for bed. Now it should be said that at this point that Ravius was noted for his handsome looks, while the Baroness was noted for her plainness. Both of these facts were immediately recognized by each of the pair. "Dost thou come to plunder my virtue?" asked the lady, all a-tremble. "Nay, fair lady," Ravius said, thinking quickly. "Plunder be a harsh term to ply upon such a delicate flower as your virtue." "I see thou hast made off with mine husband's precious coins." Ravius looked deeply into her eyes and saw the only path by which he would escape this night with his life. It would require a double sacrifice. "Though these coins are of the rarest value, I have now found a treasure that is beyond all value," Ravius said smoothly. "Tell me, O beauteous one, why does thy husband set 7 deadly traps around these tawdry coins, but only a simple lock upon the door of his virtuous wife?" "Ignorance protects those things that are dearest to him," Veronique replied with ire. "I would give all gold in my possession to spend but a moment basking in your radiance." With that, Ravius set down the coins that he had worked so hard to steal. The Baroness swooned into his arms. When the captain of the guard asked to search her quarters, she hid Ravius most skillfully. She turned over the coins, claiming that the thief dropped them when he fled out the window. With that sacrifice made, Ravius steeled himself for the second. He robbed the Lady Veronique of her virtue that night. He robbed her of it several times, lasting well into the wee hours of the morning. Exhausted, yet sated, he stole away into the pre-dawn hours.
Oh, you're back. Excuse me.
Try not to sound too enthusiastic. Alright. You guys want to see a magic trick? You don't mind this crime scene, do you? Yeah. So let's test to see if he's a proper vampire.
Hello.
Oh, you're back. Excuse me.
That is... that is the appropriate response to what's happening.
Oh, you're back. Excuse me.
Come on, in you go.
Hello.
Excuse me.
Hello.
Really? That didn't provoke any.
Oh, you're back. Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Sorry.
Serve your time peaceably and pay your debt to society.
I've committed a crime and have been sent to jail. Perhaps now I can convince Jornder to tell me about the stolen gold. All your possessions have been confiscated by the guards. You will get them back when you have served your sentence. Activate the bed to begin serving your sentence.
By the way the guards tossed you in here, I can see you're no friend of theirs.
Alright, tell me about the stolen gold.
I suppose I can trust you. In fact, maybe you can help me with a bit of a problem, and make some money for yourself in the process. I'm in here for the long haul. They got me for murder, even though I didn't do it. Once the Countess makes a ruling, there's no way it's changing. I owe all of this to that heartless, treacherous witch, Arnora.
What did Arnora do to you?
You want to know what happened? I'll tell you. I was betrayed, stabbed in the back. I'm in here and Arnora's out there, living in my house. We were doing petty crimes all over Cyrodiil. Small scores, 10 gold here, 25 there. Nothing big enough to have them investigate you. Then along comes Arnora with a plan to waylay a tax shipment headed for the Imperial City. We're talking serious gold, complete with armed escorts. I told her she was crazy, but she insisted. Women have a way of getting men to do what they want. So we did it. We ambushed the shipment. In the process, Arnora killed a guard. I told her to be careful and just knock them out, but she didn't listen. We then buried the gold in the woods. Then she disappears to get supplies. Suddenly, the campsite gets raided by the Bruma City Guard. There's no way they could have found us. Oh, there's no doubt she tipped them off. But I was one step ahead. I had moved the loot while she was away. My final revenge. Or was it?
What are you getting at?
I'll tell you. I want Arnora dead. That's right, I said dead. She took my life away, and now I want hers taken as well. You do this for me, and you get the gold. All of it. All I need is proof is that damn amulet she always wears. Show that to me, and the money's yours.
Anything else you can say about the stolen gold?
You want the gold? You bring me Arnora's amulet after she's dead. Finally, a chance for revenge.
You've got nothing to lose, so why not just tell me and save us both a heap of trouble?
Yeah, sure. And I suppose I just end up rotting while you spend it all? Forget it.
You're gonna end up rotting here anyway, you idiot.
Look, you horse's ass. I never trusted city guardsmen. Never. So I'm definitely not gonna start trusting you, Terrelius.
Suit yourself. Enjoy your stay. off duty now. My feet are killing me.
I'm assuming I can't just walk out of here with ah!
What's the matter? Getting tired? I've fought mud crabs more fearsome than you. Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch! I'm confiscating your stolen goods. Now pay your fine, or it's off to jail.
156!
Here's the procedure. We go to the castle. First we search you, confiscate any stolen goods. Then you pay your fine, and we release you.
Take this. It's from a friend.
Curious if they have any, nope, still no infamy. Infamy. So there's a side of me that wants to know whether or not I can actually get away with something like a jailbreak, you know, without the idiocy of just having the door wide open, but I am also trying to resist the tendency of, you know, reloading when something bad happens. I'm trying to keep the decisions
Can you spare a coin?
consistent and locked in. It's not 10 yet.
Right, Jornder had a completely different take on what happened with Arnora. He says she turned him in, hoping to get the gold for herself, but he had moved it. He's furious and wants revenge. Jornder has offered to give me all of the gold if I kill her, and all I have to do is show him her amulet.
I should read the note.
I can offer you greater rewards and less time in prison. If you are interested, come to the Garden of Dariloth in the Imperial City's waterfront district at midnight. Present this note, and all shall be made clear. The Grey Fox. Braden's wife, Erlene, told me that her husband is innocent. She says that he simply works at night and sleeps during the day. She also suspects that someone must have planted the body. She seems to cast a suspicious light on Reynil, whom she says she recognizes. I think I should locate Reynil and ask him some questions as well. I should start with some merchants and innkeepers in town.
I still need to wait until 10, so...
Let's hear it.
Have pity, sir. I got nothing to eat. What's the news from the other parts of Tamriel? How are you?
Nothing I'd like to talk about.
Farewell. Welcome to Bruma, stranger. Hafid Hollowleg. I'm your host at Gerald View. Bed, food, whatever you need.
What can you tell me of Reynolds?
Ah, you mean that vampire hunter. He's staying over at Olav's Tap and Tack. It's near the city gates. You can't miss it.
Thank you. Can you tell me anything else about Bruma?
Countess Carvane collects Akaviri artifacts. She might have a project in mind.
You don't say.
Go ahead, please. I offer the finest goods of... I can't afford to do... I can't make that deal. Make me a bet. I can't... That's a good... Pleasure. That's... I let that... Thank you for your patronage.
Don't worry about it. You'll be getting most of it back.
Good day.
Restored health would be best. Trying to keep some properties. So for instance, there's fortify strength here.
What? I offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil. You'll need to make a better offer. You got... A good... I appreciate your business.
Not at all.
Goodbye.
Alright, let's find a vampire hunter.
It's you. Hi.
How are you?
May the wind be on your back.
What's your story?
What do you think?
What do you want?
Clearly you don't own the
Take
place.
It's awful. I feel terrible for her husband. He must be so ashamed. What can I do for you today?
What can you tell me about Braden Lyrian?
I know I may be out of line by saying this, but I think the city guards may be wrong. It's hard to imagine Braden was a vampire. I could have sworn I saw him outside in the daylight before. Unless he just got that disease very recently, I'd say they were mistaken. When I heard Reynolds killed him, I didn't know what to think. But after your visit here, I'm beginning to wonder.
Funny you should mention him. Do you know where I can find Reynolds?
I usually don't give out that kind of information, especially to people I don't know. I'm listening.
Would a joke change your mind? I guess not.
Not funny, not even a little bit. That's pretty far-fetched. Please, you win this one. I won't fight you. You should be a good. I doubt it. What a wonderful compliment. I won't fight you. You should be. I doubt it. Goodness, what can I say? That's enough. Not funny, not even a little. Please, I'm embarrassed. But thank you. So, not funny, not even a little bit. Goodness, what can I say? That's enough. You're revolting. What a wonderful compliment. That never happened. You win this one. Really now, you're such a charmer. Yeah, you've got a point. That's foul. That's pretty far-fetched. That's enough. Not. What a wonderful. I see.
That probably took more effort than it really needed to.
I usually don't give out that. Let's do business.
Gotta get the money to bribe you somehow. Yeah, you really don't have that much.
A fine. Thank you for your patronage. Good. What can I do for you? Let's do business. A fine transaction.
I don't even remember what the other one was that I made. I guess I can sell this more expensive one. I also forgot to move the haggle up.
Thanks. Tell me more. Every little bit helps. Reynolds staying in the last room down the hall upstairs. Here's the key.
Yeah.
I always liked Braden and Arlene. They were a nice couple. I hope you get to the bottom of this, because I don't believe he was a vampire either.
I think I'm understanding why there might be mysterious deaths in this. Let's see.
Spoken with Olaf at Olaf's Top and Keg. I was able to convince him to give me the key to Reynolds' room. He told me that it was up the stairs at the end of the hall. That should be my next destination.
You look like a bright one.
I've entered Reynolds' room. I should carefully search the place for anything suspicious.
I'm sorry for the giggling tonight, by the way. It's just, there are some very silly things.
I've discovered a small journal in Reynolds' room at the inn. It seems that he was part of a group of adventurers who uncovered an artifact of some sort from some island ruins. They all agreed to stash the artifact in a cave until more research could be done about it. Each of them took a key to the chest it was secured in. And 2 other members of the group were Braden and someone named Geliborn. I need to find out more about Geliborn to confirm my suspicions about Reynil. Olav may be able to help. The 8th day has passed, and still there's no sign of the artifact. We've covered most of the remainder of the outer guard tower and scoured the crumbled gatehouse ruins, but not one clue has arisen as to where it may have been buried. It's quiet out here, as if the ruins were paying respects to the island inhabitants that disappeared here long ago. We haven't encountered anything hostile, but if we do, I think we're ready. The Brotherhood's been in worse scrapes before. Brayden paid good money for the information as to our treasure's whereabouts, and I hope it doesn't turn out to be yet another fiasco. This morning, our camp was set upon by some bandits who were protecting what they claimed was their territory. Considering that we were outnumbered 3-1, we did very well. Only Reynil suffered a small wound, but that was easily healed by a potion that Brayden had thoughtfully brought with him on our expedition. After getting rid of the bandits' corpses, we set out to tackle the largest part of the ruin, the remains of the Great Keep. 2 of the walls of the once mighty structure were collapsed, scattering the telltale whitish rock so typical of the island architecture in this part of Tamriel. This made our assault on the ruin difficult, as many of the larger chunks of wall were far too heavy for us to move. Brayden suggested that we search the center of the building's foundation for any underground entrances, which was typical for this type of keep. His guess paid off, and after several hours of back-breaking work, we managed to clear an opening just large enough for us to squeeze through and enter an ancient stairwell leading down to the ground. We decided to wait until morning's light to begin our descent into the depths of the ruin. After restless sleep, all of us were quite excited at the prospect of what might lie ahead. Eagerly, we dipped our torches in a fresh container of pitch, lit them, and entered the inky blackness of the stairwell. The stale air was choked with dust and fine grit, a sign that no one had entered this portion of the ruins in a very long time. We became excited, as this meant that no other tomb robbers had gotten there before us. The stairwell eventually leveled out into a corridor of sorts that snaked its way to the north. As we carefully walked along, I scanned the floor and walls very carefully for any type of triggers, tripwires, or pressure plates. Such was my specialty. The Eyelid were well known for their cunning traps protecting their tombs, and I wasn't taking any chances. Brayden, the scholar of the Brotherhood, was getting more and more excited as we traversed the passage. He was translating the wall carvings and was becoming certain that we had finally found the true location of our prize. After walking for several more minutes, we were overjoyed to see what we were hoping to see. The hallway ended at a metal door with a carving of a spider upon it. Now came the true test of Brayden's information. The door supposedly had a puzzle lock. By pulling the spider legs in a certain combination, it would unlatch. The wrong combination would spell our deaths, perhaps triggering a collapse of the hallway or some equally deadly trap. With a shaky hand, I pulled the legs one by one in the order that I had memorized. The 6th one, then the 1st one, the 2nd one, the 8th one, and finally the 1st one again. I closed my eyes as there were a few loud clicks and then the door popped open. We all breathed a sigh of relief. Pushing open the door, I looked at a huge room with a pedestal at the center. Sitting on the pedestal, illuminated by a shaft of sunlight from a tiny hole in the ceiling, was our prize. The floor was covered in a huge mosaic of a stylized spider, all 8 of its legs coming to a point and ending up at the door entrance. This was the last of the traps that the Eyelid left behind to protect their treasure. Again, if it hadn't been for Brayden's skill at acquiring information, we may never have known how to solve this last line of defense. I instructed Brayden and Reynil to remain at the entrance and to tie a rope around my waist in case of a sudden pitfall. Carefully, I began to walk on the darkened tiles that formed the 3rd leg of the spiders. Sweat beaded on my forehead, as the pathway made by the tiny pieces of ceramic was very narrow at the start, and one slip could again mean instant death. But death never arrived. The information had been correct, and I was able to make it to the pedestal and secure the artifact. Quickly as possible, we made our way back and out into the daylight. Once again, the Brotherhood was triumphant, and it was our time to return home. At the tavern that night, we decided to make a pact. We would stash the artifact in a cave not far from Bruma until we researched it further. An item of this magnitude could be very dangerous if mishandled, and we certainly didn't want to sell it without understanding its true value. Braden agreed to contract a local cooper to construct a chest with 3 locks. Each of us would hold a key to one of the locks, so none would have access to the artifact without the others being present. For the rest of the evening, we drank merrily and sang many songs of adventurers past and adventures to come.
Hello. What can I do for you today?
I'd like to know about Galborn.
Gelliborn? That's odd that you should mention that name. Reynolds told me that he was the last vampire he hunted. Yeah, that's right. Somewhere in Skingrad, I believe. He said he tracked Gelborn down and killed him. That's apparently why the guards trust him so readily. They had gotten word from Skingrad's City Watch about Reynil and his so-called accomplishment.
The innkeeper Olaf told me that Gelliborn was slain in Skingrad by none other than Reynil. As with Braden, Reynil claimed Gelliborn was a vampire. I think Reynil is using the vampire as a cover story to get the keys to the chest where they stashed the artifact. I think it's time to speak with Carius Renelius about Reynil. He must be stopped.
Just look for me if you need anything else.
Hello.
So, any new revelations in your, investigation?
First of all, what do you know about Galborn?
How do you know about that? Oh, too many people don't know how to keep quiet about official matters.
I know, right?
Very well. The Skingrad City Watch informed us that Gelliborn was killed by Reynil not too long ago. Gelliborn was a vampire as well, obviously.
I disagree.
What do you mean, you disagree? That's a bold statement. What proof do you have that Gelliborn was not a vampire?
I have Galborn's journal.
I don't know what to say. It all makes perfect sense now. Why else would Reynil have removed this journal from the crime scene in Skingrad? I heard no mention of a key either. It must have been removed by Reynil from Braden's body before we arrived. To think that 2 innocent men were killed, and that I'm responsible for one of their deaths, I'm speechless. I will rouse the guard and begin a search for him in the city. Meet me at Olev's Tap and Tack in 1 hour.
Hello. Do you have any more questions? I'm afraid I know little more.
That's all good. We'll take him out.
I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
I wonder if I actually have to wait an hour. Well, I got stuff I can do in between.
How do you do?
Did you hear about Braden Lyrian? A vampire hunter.
Welcome back to the world, convict. So, were you able to find out about the gold or not? How could you stand sharing a cell with that imbecile?
How indeed.
So he told you another one of his tall tales. I hope you didn't believe him. What's he got in store for me? He sent you to kill me, is that it? What if there was another way? What if he thought I was dead, but I wasn't? Then he'd tell you the location of the gold. What did he need as proof?
Your amulet.
That fetcher. He knows this is the only heirloom I have left from my family. Only he would stoop so low. Look, I know you could just kill me where I stand.
But what if I gave you the amulet and you bring it to him? Then he'd say where the gold's stashed.
You kill me here and now, and as far as the town guard is concerned, it's a crime. So you make your choice. You want to do it my way, or Jorunda's?
I mean, it's not the most compelling argument. I was very clearly willing to commit a crime to share a cell with him. We'll do it your way.
I knew you'd make the smarter decision. Good. Here's the key to the chest by my bed. Inside you'll find the amulet Jorunda wants. Take my amulet to him. Get the gold and bring half of it back here to me. If you don't come back, I'll let the guards in on our plan. You'll be hunted all over Cyrodiil. You don't want that, do you? I don't think so. Good luck.
I'm pretty sure I can pay off the guards. What else can you tell me about Jorundr?
I'm not surprised at all that he tried to have me killed. That's his way. Always the traitor and the coward. I warn you, don't cross me.
I'm a little worried that opening the chest is going to provoke a... Oh, guess not.
If you try and cross me, I'll tell the town guard.
Yeah.
I warn you.
Evening.
Hi there. Hi there. Anytime now. Greetings, Dunmer. How do you do? What can I do for you, sir?
Remember me?
Goodbye. What can I do for you, sir? What a bother. Don't be too long about it. I got to stay with you, so there isn't any funny business.
Show me the proof. So, she's dead, eh? Finally, someone has wiped that stupid, smug grin off her face. Good. Well, you did your part of the bargain, now I'll do mine. The gold is buried outside the walls of Bruma, near the North Gate. Goodbye. I don't expect to be seeing you anytime soon. If I were you, I'd get out of Bruma fast before the guards catch on that she's dead.
Do I still have the amulet? Cool. Good lord. I'm assuming she's going to be happier to see the gold than her amulet. Looks nice.
Well, go get it. What good is it doing if you're standing here?
Yes?
Yes?
I'm here for Jorunder's gold, and you're my only loose end. I've been hoping to get someone in his cell and loosen his lips, and then you showed up. You really should be more careful when you talk in the dungeons. The sound tends to carry. Jorunder's such an idiot. I've
look
taken
very
care of
angry.
Nora. She won't be around to point the finger, and Jorunder's not going anywhere for a long time. That just leaves you.
I killed a corrupt guard named Terelius Logelius near the stashed loot. Apparently, he had overheard my conversation with Drunder in the Bruma Castle dungeons and wanted the gold for himself. I think he's also killed Arona. I can now recover the gold unhindered. I found the treasure that Drunder concealed. I should go and check to see if Terelius was telling the truth about Arnora.
Well met.
I found Arnora's body in her house. Terelius has indeed killed her. I should probably leave before the town guard thinks I had something to do with it. On the bright side, all of Drunder's gold is now mine. Buying, selling? Who cares? We'll do anything. Do either at Novaroma. We'll do whatever it takes to make the sale.
So the timings tended to work out pretty well. Stop by the Mage's Guild to drop off the book. Oh, sorry. There's the boss part.
Hello, associate.
Hi. No.
Ready to find Jaskar? Just watch. You'll see.
Hello there. I hear you've been looking for me.
Oh, please don't be mad. We were just having some fun.
We just got tired of Jean lording her position over us when she barely knows anything about magic. Every now and then, we like to trick her. We figured it was time to move on to a new prank. This one was getting boring anyway, so you can tell her you found me.
Tell me more about this prank.
Well, it was fun while it lasted. I'll have to start thinking up something new to try.
What do you think of the Mages Guild?
There's not much to do here in the Bruma Guild. If you can get to the Arcane University, though, they let you make your own spells there.
And Janine?
Finding ways to confuse her just never gets old for me. It's good practice of our skills, too. But it's mostly just funny.
A pleasure to speak with you.
Tell me more about your pranks.
It was a good idea, wasn't it? I wonder how long she'll spend trying to figure out where she put it down.
All right. What else do you know about Janine?
She won't figure this out for weeks. It's times like this I enjoy what I do. Good day.
There is one small thing I want to try, which I will reset for. I just wanted to see if you had the book. Looks like I got away with it anyway, but...
Greetings, guildmate. Any luck finding Jaskar?
As a matter of fact.
Found him, did you? Well, I suppose that's good. You'll have to forgive me. I seem to have misplaced something. Yes, well, let's never mind that. You've fulfilled your end of the bargain, though, so I'll fulfill mine. Ramanus will have my recommendation. And don't you forget about me once you've finished your training. I'm sure we can help each other out.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Time to go on a hunt. Where are you off to?
Go ahead, please. Take care.
Yes? Just before I arrived here, I received a report from one of our scouts watching the roads. Reynolds was spotted heading west out of Bruma. The scout tried to follow, but lost him in the mountains. The only cave to the west that comes close to the one described in Gelliborn's journal is Boreal Stone Cave. That must be where he's headed. You must get there before he acquires whatever artifact is being kept there and makes his escape. I'm keeping the city guard in Bruma, as Reynolds doesn't know we're after him. If he sees a guard, he may panic and run. You're my only hope at the moment. Please, you have my authorization to do everything you can to bring him to justice. If he won't surrender, I think you know what to do. Hurry. I fear you have a day at the most to stop him.
Just tell me you want me to murder him. Alright, tell me more about Galaborn.
Reynolds will pay for both crimes. Galaborn was likely another innocent he slain. I'll make sure Skingrad City Watch hears of this.
And Braden?
If all you say is true, Reynolds will answer for Braden's death.
And Reynolds.
I can't wait to get my hands on Reynolds. He'll become very familiar with Bruma's dungeons, or the end of my blade if he doesn't come peacefully.
Aren't you the one staying, though?
Good evening.
Reynolds.
Well, I was hoping to get some sleep tonight, but I guess we get to enjoy the auroras for a little while longer. Yeah, there's no real pathways, so I think I'll just walk it. Or, well, obviously I was gonna walk it no matter what, but what I mean is, I try to not look for any paths. I'm trying to figure out what that sign means. Ah! So I will definitely check that out, but I'm on a bit of a deadline here, so. Something happened in my helmet. Okay, there is a symbol. Again, if I can avoid the ogres, so much the better.
I've arrived at Boreal Stone Cave.
Congratulations. I had a feeling you would catch on sooner or later. Leaving that journal behind was a stupid mistake on my part. I saw you enter Olav's Tap and Tack before I could get there, and I knew that I had to sneak out of Bruma somehow. It was only a matter of time before you or Carius figured it out. No matter. After I've killed you, I won't need my vampire hunter ruse any longer.
You'll not surrender then?
Certainly not. I'm surprised Carius didn't send the entire city watch up here, but then I would have seen that coming, I suppose. I expected to lay low for a while and then be on my way. So again, I underestimated you. This leaves me with little choice. Either I fight you now and have a chance at freedom, or I surrender and rot in a city dungeon. I prefer the chance for freedom.
Before I get to your last chance, I've got a question. What happened to your voice? You sound like a freak.
Yes, I suppose it is. Well then, we've talked enough. Only one of us will walk out of here alive this day. Good luck.
For all true Dunmore voices. Ah.
I've fought mudcrabs more fearsome than you.
Well, seems like he's better than me.
I've fought mudcrabs more fearsome than you.
Located Reynolds in Boreal Stone Cave. He refused to surrender, choosing instead to attack me. I was forced to kill him to defend myself. I can now recover the artifact mentioned in Geliborn's journal from the chest. Opening the waterlogged chest with all 3 keys, I discovered the artifact to be an amulet. It seems fairly unremarkable, and I am unsure of its function. I think I should bring it back to Erlene Lyrian to see what she wants me to do with it.
The real treasure was the friends we made along the way. Also, I'm curious if the Elven Outfits are, better. Alright, so the Elven Boots give me... Well, first of all... Two defense compared to my current 2 defense. Alright, Greaves give me 4, so... Now the cuirass is going to be a bit of a question, so it's 7 here. But the Kvatch cuirass gives me strength and endurance. Yeah, but this protects me more, so... I don't think these are my shoes. I know I just lost some carrying capacity there, but... I don't necessarily look all that much better in this outfit, to be honest, but... Oh, drat. Alright, now before I head back to the city, I do have some treasure hunting to do. It's probably just the fire, but it definitely felt like there was more than just one. Guess it was just the bear. Trying the path of least resistance first. Drat. It's more than one. Decide if I didn't think this through or the skeletons didn't think this through. How much weight? I'll try, but I probably can't afford too many of those. Oh, come on. Oh, there isn't even anything in here. It would have been a little bit cooler if I let the traps do the job. I thought there was another set. I was off by one. Ah! I'm just getting impatient. Oh! Open remotely. Ah! Not even sneaking now. It's pure disrespect for these traps. The locks, on the other hand. No. So I'm gonna start with the dumb stuff. Alright, now let's see if alchemy can get me out of this one. Probably not. Yeah. Alright. That ought to handle Excuse me. Right, so I have some rats to deal with, but just trying to think if there's anything else I need to handle in here. Need to be a little more cautious about my charges. Well, I don't have to be, but I'd like to be. Ah. Alright, not quite ready to go there yet. So I am going to just check out that side. I'm sure I don't need to worry about it all that much, but it'd make me feel better to know that I just don't have anything else to check out up here. Unexpected. Took a little bit more than I thought. Alright, I'll take the upper passageway just because it was behind a lock, so I'm curious what was going on there. I'm in trouble. Oh, wow. I was not paying attention at all. Alright. It's not great, but we're on our way. Wait, really? Oh, so my endurance probably is also affected by this. I wonder if I have the restore. I do not. Wait, but if that's true, so I've got my endurance of 54. So why is it lower? Alright, so clearly I need to start treating this place with a little more respect. Or alternatively, free up a little more space in my inventory. That's embarrassing. Probably should remember to sort this by weight. That would have been more appropriate. Alright. Should cover me for a bit at least. I was hoping to do a soul trap. Oh well. a very slow motion fight. D. I think I'll try one more and then I'll do the soul trap. Still no explanation for the endurance, but... Alright, here's another thing I wanted to try. Restore endurance. Nope. Probably the chainmail cuirass, which is best to leave. I should see what kind of, I should keep better track of the types of... So presumably it was either a grand or a greater. Oh no! Good lord. That's never gonna get old. Okay, common is a little less exciting. So that might have opened the gate, I'm not sure though. Not great. Alright, I'm probably going to want to hang on to that staff. Probably due to stop by a temple. Just clear out all the rubbish I'm carrying. Well, sorry. Spiritual and disease-like rubbish. I really want that. Alright, well, for starters, I might be able to get away with Fortify Strength here. be quick getting home, but I think this will work out. Well, so much for my sleep. It's not like I'm gonna be back here. Gotta make it count materials-wise. Alright, so let's see if I can get by with the kvatch. Yep. Admittedly, carrying this around probably isn't, as a net effect on my inventory. Probably better to just put that in the... Oh, there's more than one of you.
You're outmatched, elf. This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death. Just gotta find the companion. I know she fell nearby, but... Now I've gone and done it.
very intrigued by this interpretation of how physics works. I'm pretty sure I'm going the wrong way, but... Oh no, no! I don't think this is gonna... What? Hang on, maybe it will. Ha ha, the day is mine. Definitely chose the long way around. Also, the audio is a little weird.
Good to see you. Heard any news lately? Poor orphan. I don't know how he manages to live this long.
I think I'm gonna drop off some of my,
Hi. Oh, it's you. What's the news from the other part?
not quite what I wanted to do. Alright. So basically, I want to make sure that I can find somebody who can actually afford to pick up those items. All right, next thing. Feel like there's a few of these that I can read and put into my library. One of these was my library again.
The Lunar Lorcan by Fal Drun. It will not go into the varying accounts of what happened at Adamantine Tower, I will not go into varying accounts of what happened at Adamantine Tower, nor will I relate to the war of manifest metaphors that rendered those stories unable to support most qualities of what is commonly known as narrative. We all have our favorite Lorcan story, and our favorite Lorcan motivation for the creation of Nirn, and our favorite story of what happened to his heart. But the theory of the Lunar Lorcan is of special note. In short, the moons were and are two halves of Lorcan's flesh divinity. Like the rest of the gods, Lorcan was a plane planet that participated in the Great Construction, except where the Eight lent portions of their heavenly bodies to create the mortal plane planet. Lorcan's was cracked asunder, and his divine spark fell to Nirn as a shooting star to impregnate it with the measure of its existence and a reasonable amount of selfishness. Massar and Secunda, therefore, are personifications of the dichotomy, the cloven duality, according to Artaeum, that Lorcan legends often rail against ideas of the anima, animus, good, evil, being, nothingness, the poetry of the body, throat, and moan silence as the abortive, and so on, set in the night sky as Lorcan's constant reminder to his mortal issue of their duty. Followers of this theory hold that other heart stories are mythical degradations of the true origin of the moons, and it needn't be said that they observe the Hollow Crescent theory as well.
Surprise, that's the only book that I can put in.
The Battle of Sancritor. In the Second Era, 852, allied Nord and Breton forces crossed the borders into Cyrodiil and occupied the major passes and settlements in the Geralt Mountains. Making their headquarters for the winter at Sancritor, the Nord-Breton allies declared King Culican's new general Talos to assault them in their mountain fastnesses. When they learned that General Talos had mustered an army in the dead of winter and was marching to assault Sancritor, they were elated. Sancritor was impregnable, its citadel on high cliffs overlooking the lower city, nestled in a high mountain basin with steep, unscalable cliffs in the rear. The Cyrodiilic army was small, poorly trained and outfitted, short on rations and unprepared for winter campaigning. As their ragged units assembled in the lowlands beneath the citadel, the Nord-Breton allies confidently assumed that their enemy had delivered himself into their trap. The citadel was not only protected by an unscalable cliff in front of an unscalable heights in the rear, but the entrance of the citadel was magically concealed under the appearance of a large mountain lake in the basin beneath the heights. Accordingly, the Nord-Breton allies left on a small force to defend the citadel, descending through the lower passages to attack and overwhelm the cold, hungry Cyrodiilic forces before them. They expected to defeat, overrun, and annihilate General Talos' army, leaving no one to oppose their springtime descent into the Cyrodiilic heartlands. Thus did General Talos lure the Nord-Breton allies to their doom. Leaving a weak force in the lowlands to draw out the defenders, General Talos approached the citadel of Sancritor from the rear, descending the supposedly unscalable heights behind the citadel, and sneaking into the supposedly magically concealed entrance to the inner citadel. This remarkable feat is attributed to the agency of a single unnamed traitor, by tradition a Breton turncoat sorcerer, who revealed both the existence of an obscure mountain trail down the heights behind the citadel, and the secret of the citadel entrance concealed beneath its illusory lake surface. While the Cyrodiilic army was in the lowlands fought a desperate defense against the Nord-Breton sortie, General Talos and his men entered the citadel, swept aside the sparse defense, captured the Nord-Breton nobles and generals, and compelled them to surrender the citadel and their armies. The confused and demoralized Nord captives, already suspicious of the scheming High Rock sorcerer aristocracy and their overreaching dreams of heartland conquests, deserted the alliance and swore loyalty to Tiber Septim. The Skyrim generals joined their rank and file in Tiber Septim's army. The High Rock Idle Mage command was summarily executed and captive Bretons imprisoned or sold into slavery. Thus was the concerted allied invasion of Cyrodiil foiled, and General Talos' army swelled by hardened Nord veteran troops that played so crucial a role in General Talos' succeeding campaigns, which consolidated the Colovian and Nibinian into the core of the Cyrodiilic Empire, and which resulted in the crowning of General Talos as Emperor Tiber Septim. Historians marvel at Tiber Septim's tactical daring in assaulting a fortified mountain citadel in the dead of winter against vastly superior numbers. Later, Tiber Septim attributed his unwavering resolve against overwhelming obstacles to have been inspired by his divine vision of the Amulet of Kings and the tomb of Remen III. The young Talos may indeed have been inspired by his belief that he was fated to recover this ancient sacred symbol of the Covenant and to lead Tamriel to the high civilization of the Third Empire. Nonetheless, this should in no way reduce our admiration for the dash and genius of this defining military triumph against impossible odds.
I didn't notice this before.
To whom it may concern, you have been passed this note because you may be able to help the Mages Guild. The Council of Mages has not the resources. The Legion is either unwilling or unable to assist. A shipment of dwarven artifacts from Morrowind, destined for the Arcane University, was intercepted by bandits recently. Intending to sell the artifacts for profit, they've stolen items essential to repair the Imperial Orrery in Cyrodiil's capital. The only known location of these bandits is Camp Alleys, north of Kvatch. If you can find these ruffians and recover the items they've stolen, I will be most indebted. The orrery is my life's work, and I would hate to see it pass into obscurity now. Items missing: 2 dwarven cogs, 1 dwarven corer, 1 dwarven cylinder, 1 dwarven tube. Bothiel.
Alright. Gotta figure out how I'm gonna get Kvatch into my travel plans, but can I afford to put on the armor I want now? Yes. Alright. Gonna sell some stuff before I go too far.
Fjotrid, you need armor or weapons, new or repair. Come to Hammer and Axe.
Pleased to meet you.
Yes? Well done. Is that so? Oh, that's great. What nonsense. Say, that's really funny. You can't scare me. I don't talk such rot. Really? Interesting. Oh, where'd you get that? That's good. I wish I could say that. You can't. Don't try to manipulate me. I wish I could say that. Oh, where'd you get that? That's not now. You can't scare me. What nonsense. You can't scare me. Say, Remarkable. Well done. Oh, that's great. That's really too much. Don't try. You can't scare me. Oh, I like that. A lot. Don't try to... I wish I could... Oh, please. What nonsense. Oh, please.
Ah.
That's... I wish I could say that. Say, that's really funny. Don't try to... You're wasting... That works for me. Take your time. Only quality goods...
Alright, 800. So I'd probably make sure that, so don't sell the Staff of Dispel.
Goodbye. I hope I can help. What can I interest you in? You've gotta be kidding. I can't afford to do... No deal. That's a good deal.
Should probably hang on to the Elven Helmet just in case.
That's a fair deal. Tell your friends about me. Bye. Good to see you.
Alright, so again, I'll just sell off, what time is it? Well, it's already pretty late.
Hello!
Go ahead, please.
What kind of trades
do
can
business.
we do? Well, 1,000's better, but not quite sure I'm ready to sell that yet.
You've got. That's a fair. You drop an excellent. That's a good. That seems a fair price. I appreciate your business.
It's my pleasure. Please continue. I'm willing to teach. Armor, weapons, I have it all. How may I help you? Bye.
Well, it's bound to happen eventually.
Yes? Have a look at my wares. I'm sure there's something to suit you. That's a good... Another satisfied customer.
I'm Ulfin.
Pretty sure
Only
there's nothing
quality
here,
goods
but
for
let me just
sale here.
double
What
check.
can I interest you in? Take care.
Hopefully nobody noticed that.
Yes?
Rejoice, through faith your afflictions are banished.
I wonder what my covering capacity. Yep.
I see from your expression that you were successful. I can't wait to get my hand. Please.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I see from your Please hurry.
I was praying for your swift return. What news do you bring?
Do you know anything about Geliborn?
Yes, I remember Braden mentioning that name once. He was part of the brotherhood he had created with Reynil.
Any other feelings about Reynil?
I knew I'd recognize Reynil. I think when I first met Braden many years ago, he introduced me to him. They were part of some sort of brotherhood. They would roam Cyrodiil in search of legendary treasures and the like. The only reason he stopped doing that is because we got married and he wanted to settle down. I'm afraid, thanks to Reynil, that time is lost.
Legendary treasure like this?
Long ago, I made a promise to Braden. I promised to never reveal to anyone what I'm about to reveal to you now. However, because you've avenged his unjust death, I feel that Braden would understand why I'm breaking that pact. Braden told me about this amulet when they first brought it home from whatever distant land it came from. He never really trusted anyone else in the group, and before he secured the treasure in that cave, he had a special enchantment placed upon it. The magic masks the true identity of the item. All it takes is a simple command word, and the amulet would be restored to its true state.
Did the word die with Braid?
No. He always feared this day would come. He left me knowledge of that word in the event that he died, and I came into possession of the keys. If the other members of Braden's group were still alive, and I on my deathbed, only then would I pass the knowledge on to them. If you'd give me that amulet, I would like to show you what you've recovered.
Certainly. Here it is.
Thank you. I will now speak the word. Brother. Here is the amulet back. It's as beautiful as it was the day I remember seeing it long ago. I want you to keep it, as I have no use for this anymore. I'm certain that's what I want, and I'm certain that's what Braden would want. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that the amulet helps keep you safe on whatever roads you may travel.
Any final thoughts on Reynil?
I'm glad he's dead. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I think you understand.
You hope I understand. All right.
Justice
Have a good life.
has been done.
I don't think there's anything else for me to do here. Yeah. Alright. So I have a few things that I need to pick up. I think I'll get a good night's rest in before I go traveling.
Hi there.
But I think I am
Do you
finally
know
ready to
Johnson
go to
Rollins,
the,
Spellsword?
I think I'm finally ready to go to the Imperial City. Oh, that looks pretty good actually. And I'm apparently not currently wearing an amulet. Alright, now ideally I'm going to be able to take the, Alright, good. So I'm going to sell those in the Imperial City. But, for now, I want to get a good night's rest in and then head to the Imperial City.
Hello? What?
Oh, just looking to buy and sell.
A pleasure to speak with you. Tell me more. Only quality good.
So obviously anything capping out the price I should be careful about. Weight's probably more relevant now.
You drive up.
Let's get a few. So, copy of Beggar Prince. Remaining copies of Brief History of the Empire.
A fine. I let that go too cheaply. Another satisfied customer.
Should probably sort out my library too.
Good day.
Because it occurred to me there's probably a couple of books that I can, I didn't think this through. There's probably a couple of books that I can afford to sell, and I just didn't think about it. Alright, so let's get the reading done first. Unbelievable. Wait a minute. I'm going to go back.
After long, arduous hours practicing jumping and controlling your falls, you've become an apprentice of acrobatics. You can now attack while jumping or falling. However, you cannot use power attacks while in mid-jump or mid-fall, only regular attacks.
Have mercy. Just one.
I'm not actually doing the jumping to boost the skill. It's really just something for me to do while I walk around, but
Head off.
What do you want?
to talk to your husband.
Yes?
Well met. Have a look around. You won't find better prices in all Tamriel. That's a good deal. An excellent deal.
All right.
Thank you for your patronage.
No problem.
Take...
All right, now, I know we've read this in previous entries, but well, this one I probably haven't actually, but
You look down upon the beggars of the Empire. These lost souls are the poor and wretched of the land. Every city has its beggars. Most are so poor that they only have the clothes on their backs. They eat the scraps the rest of us throw out. We toss them a coin so that we don't have to think too long about their plight. Imagine my surprise when I heard the tale of the beggar prince. I could not imagine what a prince of beggars would be. Here's the tale I heard. It takes place in the First Age, when gods walked like men and Daedra stalked the wilderness with impunity. It is a time before they were all confined to Oblivion. There was once a man named Weedle. Or maybe it was a woman. The story goes to great lengths to avoid declaring Weedle's gender. Weedle was the 13th child of a king of Valenwood. As such, Weedle was in no position to take the throne or even inherit much property or wealth. Weedle had left the palace to find independent fortune and glory. After many days of endless forest roads and tiny villages, Weedle came upon 3 men surrounding a beggar. The beggar was swaddled in rags from head to toe. No portion of the vagabond's body was visible. The men were intent on slaying the beggar. With a cry of rage and indignation, Weedle charged the men with sword drawn. Being simple townsfolk, armed only with pitchforks and scythes, they immediately fled from the armored figure with the shining sword. "Many thanks for rescuing me," wheezed the beggar from beneath a heap of foul rags. Weedle could barely stand the stench. "What is your name, wretch?" Weedle asked. "I am Namira." Unlike the townsfolk, Weedle was well learned. That name meant nothing to them, but to Weedle it was an opportunity. "You're a Daedric lord!" Weedle exclaimed. "Why did you allow those men to harass you? You could have slain them all with a whisper." "I'm pleased you recognize me," Namira rasped. "I am frequently reviled by townsfolk. It pleases me to be recognized for my attribute, if not my name." Weedle knew that Namira was Daedric lord of all things gross and repulsive. Diseases such as leprosy and gangrene were her domain. Where others might have seen danger, Weedle saw opportunity. "O great Namira, let me apprentice myself to you. I ask only that you grant me powers to make my fortune and forge a name for myself that will live through the ages. Nay, I would make my way alone in this world. I have no need for an apprentice." Namira shambled off down the road. Weedle would not be put off. With a bound, Weedle was at Namira's heel, pressing the case for apprenticeship. For 33 days and nights, Weedle kept up the debate. Namira said nothing, but Weedle's voice was ceaseless. Finally, on the 33rd day, Weedle was too hoarse to talk. Namira looked back on the suddenly silent figure. Weedle knelt in the mud at her feet, open hands raised in supplication. "It would seem that you have completed your apprenticeship to me after all," Namira declared. "I shall grant your request." Weedle was overjoyed. I grant you the power of disease. You may choose to be afflicted with any disease you choose, changing them at will, so long as it has visible symptoms. However, you must always bear at least one. Grant you the power of pity. You may evoke pity in anyone that sees you. Finally, I grant you the power of disregard. You may cause others to disregard your presence. Weedle was aghast. These were not boons from which a fortune could be made. They were curses, each awful in their own right, but together they were unthinkable. How am I to make my fortune and forge a name for myself with these terrible gifts? As you begged at my feet for 33 days and 33 nights, so shall you now beg for your fortune in the cities of men. Your name will become legendary among the beggars of Tamriel. The story of Weedle, the Prince of Beggars, shall be handed down throughout the generations. It was as Namir predicted. Weedle was an irresistible beggar. None could see that wretch without desperately wanting to toss a coin at the huddled form. However, Weedle also discovered that the power of disregard gave great access to the secrets of the realms. People unknowingly said important things where Weedle could hear them. Weedle grew to know the comings and goings of every citizen in the city. To this day, it is said that if you really want to know something, go ask the beggars. They have eyes and ears throughout the cities. They know all the little secrets of the daily lives of its citizens. Brief History of the Empire Part 1 by Stronach Kajok III, Imperial Historian. Before the rule of Tiber Septim, all Tamriel was in chaos. The poet Traxus called that period of continuous unrest days and nights of blood and venom. The kings were a petty lot of grasping tyrants who fought Tiber's attempts to bring order to the land, but they were as disorganized as they were dissolute, and the strong hand of Septim brought peace forcibly to Tamriel. The year was the Second Era 896. The following year, the Emperor declared the beginning of a new era. Thus began the Third Era, year Aught. For 38 years, the Emperor Tiber reigned supreme. It was a lawful, pious, and glorious age, when justice was known to one and all, from serf to sovereign. On Tiber's death, it reigned for an entire fortnight as if the land of Tamriel itself was weeping. The Emperor's grandson, Pelagius, came to the throne. Though his reign was short, he was strong and resolute, as his father had been, and Tamriel could have enjoyed a continuation of the Golden Age. Alas, an unknown enemy of the Septim family hired that accursed organization of cutthroats, the Dark Brotherhood, to kill Emperor Pelagius I as he knelt at prayer in the Temple of the One in the Imperial City. Pelagius I's reign lasted less than 3 years. Pelagius had no living children, and so the crown imperial passed to his first cousin, the daughter of Tiber's brother Agnorith. Kintara, former queen of Silvanar, assumed the throne as Kintara I. Her reign was blessed with prosperity and good harvests, and she herself was an avid patroness of art, music, and dance. Kintara's son was crowned after her death, the first emperor of Tamriel to use the imperial name Uriel. Uriel I was the great lawmaker of the Septim dynasty, and a promoter of independent organizations and guilds. Under his kind but firm hand, the Fighters' Guild and the Mages' Guild increased in prominence throughout Tamriel. His son and successor, Uriel II, reigned for 18 years, from the death of Uriel I in the Third Era 64 to Pelagius II's accession in the Third Era 82. Tragically, the rule of Uriel II was cursed with blights, plagues, and insurrections. The tenderness he inherited from his father did not serve Tamriel well, and little justice was done. Pelagius II inherited not only the throne from his father, but the debt from the latter's poor financial and judicial mismanagement. Pelagius dismissed all the elder council and allowed only those willing to pay great sums to resume their seats. He encouraged similar acts among his vassals, the kings of Tamriel, and by the end of his 17-year reign, Tamriel had returned to prosperity. His critics, however, have suggested that any advisor possessed of the wisdom but not of gold had been summarily ousted by Pelagius. This may have led to some of the troubles his son Antiochus faced when he in turn became emperor. Antiochus was certainly one of the more flamboyant members of the usually austere Septim family. He had numerous mistresses and nearly as many wives, and was renowned for the grandeur of his dress and his high good humor. Unfortunately, his reign was rife with civil war, surpassing even that of his grandfather, Uriel II. The War of the Isle in the Third Era 110, 12 years after Antiochus assumed the throne, nearly took the province of Somerset Isle away from Tamriel. The united alliance of the kings of Somerset and Antiochus only managed to defeat King Orgum of the island kingdom of Paiandinea due to a freak storm. Legend credits the psychic order of the Isle of Artaeum with the sorcery behind the Tempest. The story of Kintara II, heiress to her father Antiochus' throne, is certainly one of the saddest tales in imperial history. Her first cousin, Uriel, son of Queen Potema of Solitude, accused Kintara of being a bastard, alluding to the infamous decadence of the Imperial City during her father's reign. When this accusation failed to stop her coronation, Uriel brought the support of several disgruntled kings of High Rock, Skyrim, and Morrowind. With Queen Potema's assistance, he coordinated 3 attacks on the Septim Empire. The first attack occurred in the Iliac Bay region, which separates High Rock and Hammerfell. Kintara's entourage was massacred and the Empress taken captive. For 2 years, Kintara II languished in an imperial prison believed to be somewhere in Glenport or Glenmoral before she was slain in her cell under mysterious circumstances. The second attack was on a series of imperial garrisons along the coastal Morrowind Islands. The Emperor's consort, Kontin Arnix, fell defending the forts. The third and final attack was a siege on the Imperial City itself, occurring after the Elder Council had split up the army to attack western High Rock and eastern Morrowind. The weakened government had little defense against Uriel's determined aggression and capitulated after only a fortnight of resistance. Uriel took the throne that same evening and proclaimed himself Uriel III, Emperor of Tamriel. The year was the Third Era 121. Thus began the War of the Red Diamond, described in Volume 2 of this series. A Brief History of the Empire, Part 2, by Stronach Cathage III, Imperial Historian. Volume 1 of this series described in brief the lives of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with the glorious Tiber Septim and ending with his great-great-great-great-grandniece, Kintara II. Kintara's murder at Glenpoint while in captivity is considered by some to be the end of the pure strain of Septim blood in the imperial family. Certainly, it marks the end of something significant. Uriel III not only proclaimed himself Emperor of Tamriel, but also Uriel Septim III, taking the eminent surname as a title. In truth, his surname was Manticaro from his father's line. In time, Uriel III was deposed and his crimes reviled, but the tradition of taking the name of Septim as a title for the Emperor of Tamriel did not die with him. For 6 years, the War of the Red Diamond, which takes its name from the Septim family's famous badge, tore the empire apart. The combatants were the 3 surviving children of Pelagius II, Potema, Sepphoris, and Magnus, and their various offspring. Potema, of course, supported her son Uriel III and had the combined support of all of Skyrim and northern Morrowind. With the efforts of Sepphoris and Magnus, however, the province of High Rock turned coat. The provinces of Hammerfell, Somerset Isle, Valenwood, Elsewhere, and Black Marsh were divided in their loyalty, but most kings supported Sepphoris and Magnus. In the Third Era at 127, Uriel III was captured at the Battle of Icdag in Hammerfell. En route to his trial in the Imperial City, a mob overtook his prisoner's carriage and burned him alive within it. His captor and uncle continued on to the Imperial City, and by common acclaim was proclaimed Sepphoris I, Emperor of Tamriel. Sepphoris' reign was marked by nothing but war. By all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. It took an additional 10 years of constant warfare for him to defeat his sister Potema, the so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, who died in the siege of her city-state in the year 137. Sepphoris survived his sister by only 3 years. He never had time during the war years to marry, so it was his brother, the 4th child of Pelagius II, who assumed the throne. The Emperor Magnus was already elderly when he took up the imperial diadem, and the business of punishing the traitorous kings of the War of Red Diamond drained much of his remaining strength. Legend accuses Magnus's son and heir Pelagius III of patricide, but that seems highly unlikely, for no other reason than that Pelagius was king of Solitude following the death of Potema and seldom visited the imperial city. Pelagius III, sometimes called Pelagius the Mad, was proclaimed emperor in the 145th year of the Third Era. Almost from the start, his eccentricities of behavior were noted at court. He embarrassed dignitaries, offended vassal kings, and on one occasion marked the end of an imperial grand ball by attempting to hang himself. His long-suffering wife finally was awarded the regency of Tamriel, and Pelagius III was sent to a series of healing institutions and asylums until his death in the Third Era 153 at the age of 34. The Empress Regent of Tamriel was proclaimed Empress Catariah I upon the death of her husband. Some who do not mark the end of the Septim bloodline with the death of Kintara II consider the ascendancy of this dark elf woman the true mark of its decline. Her defenders, on the other hand, assert that though Catariah was not descended from Tiber, the son she had with Pelagius was, and so the imperial chain did continue. Despite racist assertions to the contrary, Catariah's 46-year reign was one of the most celebrated in Tamriel's history. Uncomfortable in the Imperial City, Catariah traveled extensively throughout the empire, such that as no Catariah traveled extensively throughout the empire, such as no emperor ever had since Tiber's day. She repaired much of the damage that the previous emperor's broken alliances and bungled diplomacy created. The people of Tamriel came to love the empress far more than the nobility did. Cataraya's death in a minor skirmish in Blackmarsh is a favorite subject of conspiracy-minded historians. The sage Montalius's discovery, for instance, of a disenfranchised branch of the Septive family and their involvement with the skirmish was a revelation indeed. When Cassander assumed the throne upon the death of his mother, he was already middle-aged. Only half-elven, he aged like a Breton. In fact, he had left the rule of Wayrest to his half-brother Uriel due to his poor health. Nevertheless, as the one true blood relation of Pelagius and thus Tiber, he was pressed into accepting the throne. To no one's surprise, the Emperor Cassander's reign did not last long. In 2 years, he joined his predecessors in internal slumber. Uriel Lariat, Cassander's half-brother and the child of Cataraya I and her imperial consort Galavir Lariat, after the death of Pelagius III, left the kingdom of Wayrest to reign as Uriel IV. Legally, Uriel IV was a septim. Cassander had adopted him into the royal family when he had become king of Wayrest. Nevertheless, to the council and the people of Tamriel, he was a bastard child of Cataraya. Uriel did not possess the dynamism of his mother, and his long 43-year reign was a hotbed of sedition. Uriel IV's story is told in the 3rd volume of this series. A Brief History of the Empire, Part 3, by Stronach Cathodge III, Imperial Historian. The first volume of this series told in brief the story of the succession of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, from Tiber I to Kintara II. The second volume described the War of the Red Diamond and the 6 emperors that followed its aftermath, from Uriel III to Cassander I. At the end of that volume, it was described how the Emperor Cassander's half-brother Uriel IV assumed the throne to the Empire of Tamriel. It will be recalled that Uriel IV was not a septim by birth. His mother, though she reigned as empress for many years, was a dark elf married to a true septim emperor, Pelagius III. Uriel's father was actually Cataraya I's consort after Pelagius's death, a Breton nobleman named Galavir Lariat. Before taking the throne of empire, Cassander I had ruled the kingdom of Wayrest, but poor health had forced him to retire. Cassander had no children, and so he legally adopted his half-brother Uriel and abdicated the kingdom. 7 years later, Cassander inherited the empire at the death of his mother. 3 years after that, Uriel once again found himself the recipient of Cassander's inheritance. Uriel IV's reign was a long and difficult one. Despite being a legally adopted member of the Septim family, and despite the Lariat family's high position, indeed they were distant cousins of the Septims, few of the Elder Council could be persuaded to accept him fully as a blood descendant of Tiber. The council had assumed much responsibility during Cataraya I's long reign, and Cassander I's short one, and a strong-willed alien monarch like Uriel IV found it impossible to command their unswerving fealty. Time and again, council and emperor were at odds, and time and again the council won the battles. Since the days of Pelagius II, the Elder Council had consisted of the wealthiest men and women in the empire, and the power they wielded was conclusive. The council's last victory over Uriel IV was posthumous. Andorak, Uriel IV's son, was disinherited by vote of the council, and a cousin, more closely related to the original Septim line, was proclaimed Sepphoris II in the Third Era 247. For the first 9 years of Sepphoris II's reign, those loyal to Andorak battled the imperial forces. In an act of the sage Arentine called Tiber Septim's Heart Beating No More, the council granted Andorak the high rock kingdom of Shornhelm to end the war, and Andorak's descendants still rule there. By and large, Sepphoris II had foes that demanded more of his attention than Andorak. From out of a Cimmerian nightmare, in the worlds of Arentine, a man who called himself the Camoran Usurper led an army of Daedra and undead warriors on a rampage through Valenwood, conquering kingdom after kingdom. Few could resist his onslaughts, and as month turned to bloody month in the year Third Era 249, even fewer tried. Sepphoris II sent more and more mercenaries into Hammerfell to stop the usurper's northward march, but they were bribed or slaughtered and raised as undead. The story of the Camoran usurper deserves a book of its own. It is recommended that the reader find Pollux Ilithir's The Fall of the Usurper for more detail. In short, however, the destruction of the forces of the usurper had little to do with the efforts of the emperor. The result was a great regional victory and an increase in hostility towards the seemingly inefficacious empire. Uriel V, Sepphoris II's son and successors, swiveled opinion back towards the latent power of the empire. Turning the attention of Tamriel away from internal strife, Uriel V embarked on a series of invasions beginning almost from the moment he took the throne in the Third Era 268. Uriel V conquered Roscrera in 271, Cathanki in 276, Yunlessa in 279, and Ezroniet in 284. In the Third Era 288, he embarked on his most ambitious enterprise, the invasion of the continent kingdom of Akavir. This ultimately proved a failure, for 2 years later, Uriel V was killed in Akavir on the battlefield of Ionith. Nevertheless, Uriel V holds a reputation second only to Tiber as one of the two greatest warrior emperors of Tamriel. The last four emperors, beginning with Uriel V's infant son, are described in the fourth and final volume of this series. A Brief History of the Empire, Part 4, by Stronach Cathod III, Imperial Historian. The first book of this series described in brief the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with Tiber I. The second volume described the War of the Red Diamond and the 6 emperors who followed. The third volume described the troubles of the next 3 emperors, the frustrated Uriel IV, the ineffectual Sepphoris II, and the heroic Uriel V. On Uriel V's death across the sea at distant hostile Akavir, Uriel VI was but 5 years old. In fact, Uriel VI was born only shortly before his father left for Akavir. Uriel V's only other progeny, by a morgantic alliance, were the twins Morahatha and Eloisa, who had been born a month after Uriel V had left. Uriel VI was crowned in the 290th year of the Third Era. The imperial consort Thonica, as the boy's mother, was given the restricted regency until Uriel VI reached majority. The Elder Council retained the real power, as they had ever since the days of Catariah I. The council so enjoyed its unlimited and unrestricted freedom to promulgate laws and generate profits that Uriel VI was not given full license to rule until 307, when he was already 22 years old. He had been slowly assuming positions of responsibility for years, but both the council and his mother, who enjoyed even her limited regency, were loath to hand over the reins. By the time he came to the throne, the mechanisms of government gave him little power except that of the imperial veto. This power, however, he regularly and vigorously exercised. By 313, Uriel VI could boast with conviction that he truly did rule Tamriel. He utilized defunct spy networks and guard units to bully and coerce the difficult members of the Elder Council. His half-sister, Morahatha, was, not surprisingly, his staunchest ally, especially after her marriage to Baron Ulf Gerson of Winterhold brought her considerable wealth and influence. As the sage Ugarij said, Uriel V conquered Erosenet, but Uriel VI conquered the Elder Council. When Uriel VI fell off a horse and could not be resuscitated by the finest imperial healers, his beloved sister Morahatha took up the imperial tiara. At 25 years of age, she had been described by, admittedly self-serving, diplomats as the most beautiful creature in all of Tamriel. She was certainly well-learned, vivacious, athletic, and a well-practiced politician. She brought an Archmagister of Skyrim to the Imperial City and created the second Imperial Battle Mage since the days of Tiber Septim. Morahatha finished the job her brother had began and made the Imperial Province a true government under the Empress, and later the Emperor. Outside the Imperial Province, however, the Empire had been slowly disintegrating. Open revolutions and civil wars had raged unchallenged since the days of her grandfather Sepphoris II. Carefully coordinating her counterattacks, Morahatha slowly claimed back her rebellious vassals, always avoiding overextending herself. Though Morahatha's military campaigns were remarkably successful, her deliberate pace often frustrated the council. One councilman, an Argonian who took the Colovian name of Thorocles Romus, furious at her refusal to send troops to his troubled Black Marsh, is commonly believed to have hired the assassins who claimed her life in the Third Era 339. Romus was summarily tried and executed, though he protested his innocence to the last. Morahatha had no surviving children, and Eloisa had died of a fever 4 years before. Eloisa's 25-year-old son Pelagius was thus crowned Pelagius IV. Pelagius IV continued his aunt's work, slowly bringing back under his wing the radical and refractory kingdoms, duchies, and baronies of the empire. He exercised Morahatha's poise and circumspect pace in his endeavors, but alas did not attain her success. The kingdoms had been free of constraint for so long that even a benign imperial presence was considered odious. Nevertheless, when Pelagius died after a notably stable and prosperous 29-year reign, Tamriel was closer to unity than it had been since the days of Uriel I. Our current emperor, His Awesome and Terrible Majesty, Uriel Septim VII, son of Pelagius IV, has the diligence of his great-aunt Morhatha, and the political skill of his great-uncle Uriel VI, and the military prowess of his great-granduncle Uriel V. For 21 years he reigned and brought justice and order to Tamriel. In the year 3rd Era 389, however, his imperial battle mage, Jagar Tharn, betrayed him. Uriel VII was imprisoned in a dimension of Tharn's creation, and Tharn used his sorcery of illusion to assume the Emperor's aspect. For the next 10 years, Tharn abused imperial privilege, but did not continue Uriel VII's schedule of reconquest. It is not yet entirely known what Tharn's goals and personal accomplishments were during the 10 years he masqueraded as his liege lord. In the 3rd Era, 399, an enigmatic champion defeated the battle mage in the dungeons of the Imperial Palace and freed Uriel VII from his other dimensional jail. Since his emancipation, Uriel Septim VII has worked diligently to renew the battles that would reunite Tamriel. Tharn's interference broke the momentum, it is true, but the years that have since have then proven that there is hope for a golden age of Tiber Septim's rule, glorifying Tamriel once again.
Presumably the 5th edition is forthcoming. Alright, we will get a blessing, and then we will head to the Imperial City, and then I think I'm going to have to call it. Well, maybe we'll do a round in the arena. I think I only have the one. No, well. I won't complain about Fortify Health.
Muscles on you.
Look at him. Look. Should maybe take a look at the map just to see. I do eventually want to check out some of these other places. But the Imperial City is the most direct. It's probably the most direct destination that I can go to right now. I think it might be more exciting to see a third-person view, but it really isn't. Leave my horse alone. Oh, you're done for. Shield. Yo! They all want to kill my horse. Do I even want to know? Oh, good lord. Leave it alone! That's right. I may have taken on a little more than I can handle. Please tell me they're not coming after my horse. Oh lord. This is bad. Well, no surprise there. Really wasn't expecting to have an encounter like that. Still not enough. Ah, because of the weight of the bear pelt, that's why. I'm sure I can cut a little deeper on the... Nope. Alright. Bear pelts for bragging rights, then. I can't even imagine where the remaining bodies are here. I don't even know if it's worth looking. Guess it's the same as last time. I am in a little bit of a rush, so maybe I'll leave the sneaking for when I know there's something after me. Ah, wrong button. That light is not gonna help me. Wanted soul trap. Cursed spider legs. I really need to start remembering to use my soul trap. I might be able to sneak to the tower. Not sneak, but rush to the tower, but might have got ahead of myself. forgot about that one. That was the trap one. There we go, finally. And we get to do this all over again. How am I out of restored fatigue? That's not great. Sorry for the silence, but I'm really, really haven't earned my wins here. Okay, I'm curious. Yeah. There might be something I can do to that, but for now I think I'm just gonna run and hope for the best. Wrong buttons. Still wrong buttons. That's... Oh! Not good. Okay. I really don't want to have to deal with that right now. There's a big guy. That was worth a shot. Alright, so this really seems to have just existed to be the world's most inconvenient elevator. Fair enough. Well, this isn't encouraging. Of course I am. Trying to figure out how I'm gonna close this portal. I didn't think this is where I came from. Starting to think that the people who've designed this may not have the inhabitants' best interests in mind. suppose at least in this case I can, I think these are good for restoring health. So I'm thinking there's probably some other gates. Oh yeah. Okay, there's a bunch of gates and all of that to be opened. I would love to keep doing this, but I'm actually watching the sun coming up, so I am a little late in starting this and also in finishing, so we will continue our journey in Oblivion next week. I apologize for the abrupt end, but I gotta take care of myself, so thank you for watching as always, and we'll see you next week.